Joining me in the studio is Trey Anthony. She's a comedian, playwright, TV producer, actress, coach, motivational speaker. She does it all. Really grateful to have her here today. Now you'll meet her in a moment. Later in the interview, I'll have my regular Good to Know Minute when I ask my guests for their top success tip, and you'll hear Trey's. Well, Trey Anthony, hello. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
It is so nice to have you here. Now, you are best known for your production, both as the creator and star of The Kink in My Hair. It started as a stage production.
Yes.
And then it became a popular TV series.
Yes.
So how did you get from stage to TV series? And where did the idea come from to begin with?
Oh my goodness. I think for myself, like the whole idea started off, I was a stand-up comedian and I was feeling very boxed in. I was feeling very typecast. A lot of people was just like, oh, you're the funny girl. And I was thinking, you know, I want to see myself in different roles. I wanted to definitely experience just playing different characters. And I also wanted to do more dramatic stuff. And so every time my agent sent me out for all of these auditions, I kept getting really stereotypical stuff like crackhead #1, baby mama #2. And I was just like, wow, I want to see especially Black women portrayed on stage in a more authentic light. And so really it just came from that necessity for me to see different Black women on stage and really layered women with, you know, like very dimensional. And so that was really how it all started. I was just like, I'm going to start to write about my own life, write about my own family. And I was also questioning a lot of things. I was coming out to my family as well. So that was a big thing. And I started to just write my own truth. And that's really where the play came from. It was just this need to write my own truth, question a lot of my own beliefs, and also give women stories that they could relate to. And I think when you start from that kind of place of truth, it then started to transcend that. It didn't just become then a Black story or a woman's story, it just became a real human story. And I think that's where audience just started to really connect with it and relate to it.
And of course you won a number of awards.
Yes.
You're the first Black female to write and produce a show for TV primetime broadcaster, is that correct?
Yeah, the first African Canadian to produce on a primetime network in Canada. So that was huge, and also it was really great, and I love to have that distinction, but it was also very bittersweet because when you think about the TV show actually debuted in about 2007, and for us to be the first in a country which is so diverse, in a city so diverse as Canada, there was still a bit of bittersweet moments for me because I was just thinking this should have happened sooner, but I was also very proud to be the first, and I think it really made especially a lot of communities of color very, very proud to finally see our stories on television and on stage as well.
So would you say that it's fair to say that you've been trailblazing then for other women?
Yes.
Creating a path for them here in Canada?
I definitely think so. I think if there's one thing, people always say to me that you're very fearless and so you're very courageous and that you're never scared, and that's not true. I just do it even though I'm scared. I just think, okay, somebody's got to do it, why not me?
So you're based in Toronto, and I know that you've got a project in Atlanta right now. So what are you doing there?
I'm in Atlanta currently right now working on a full production, theatrical production of The Kink in My Hair. It's going to be a star-studded event. So we got some really big names happening, and we're currently negotiating, and we got a really amazing director who we just getting her to sign on the dotted line, who's attached to the project. And so we're really, really excited. And I really just wanted to bring the play to another level and really get some stars attached to it, because my big dream is to bring it to Broadway. And so I thought if I did a star-studded production of it in Atlanta, I would get the right attention for the project. So that's what I'm currently producing right now there.
So it went from fringe type theater to television.
Yes.
And you had 2 seasons on global TV.
Yes.
And now you're putting on the play in other cities around the world. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. So we're starting Atlanta. We've also, you know, toured the production in London, England. And my dream is to just really tour it all across North America with the ultimate goal to be on Broadway.
So let me ask you this success that you've had with this show, how has this changed your life?
Wow, that's a great question. I think for me, it really has been about just knowing your truth and also knowing your worth, and also believing in dreams coming true. Because I remember being like 10 or 11 or 12, right, thinking I want to be on TV, but not seeing women on television who looked like me. And I remember also saying to my mother that I wanted to be an actor, and my mother saying, the only kind of acting you're going to do is act like a doctor or a lawyer, right? So nobody ever supported my dream in my family. And so when I see all of this happening for myself, it just really kind of confirms for me that if you believe in yourself and you really start to think positive, that things will start to fall into place. But it also is about a lot of hard work, and it's also about picking yourself up when you fail and not hearing the word no, because so many people told me no. So many people said, you weren't skinny enough to be on TV, you weren't pretty enough to be on television, all of those things. And I really defined that and just said, no, I'm gonna do this. And so I think just doing the kink and just seeing what it's evolved to, it really made me realize that it's bigger than me, and it's always been bigger than me. Like, I really truly feel that it's been blessed from something higher and above than me, because it's touched so many women's lives, and I was just the vessel to make it come through for me.
Now, you mentioned failure. Have you failed? I mean, you've become so successful, but in your mind, have you failed?
Oh, yes, of course. I think even when the show got canceled on Global, I remember going in my dressing room and just crying, and I called one of my best friends, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's over, and when I feel like such a failure. And I remember she said to me, you had 2 seasons. You were the first Black woman to have a show on television. She said, you've opened the doors for so many other women of color to think that it's possible. She goes, you didn't fail. She said, you made it possible for so many of us to believe that it can happen. So she goes, maybe the next woman will do 3 seasons, and maybe the next woman will do 4. She goes, but you've just opened the door for so many people, and look at how many people your show employed. Look how many young girls who sit at home and watch your television show and go, wow, there's a girl who looks like me on television. And so she goes, how could you ever think that you failed? But I think, sometimes we are our biggest and harshest critics, right? And so I think that is one thing that I've learned about myself, is that sometimes to just be more gentle and kind with myself in the same way I would be gentle and kind with others. To treat myself exactly the same way I would treat other women in my lives, without being so harsh and critical and being like, you could do better and you should be better, right?
Now, you like to mentor young girls. That's important to you. What do you say to them when they come to you and say, oh my God, I want to be just like you, I want to do what you do?
I always say to them, don't be me.
Okay.
Be bigger, be better, do you. Right? That there's only one original you. There's only one Trey Anthony. And so I always say, never be a carbon copy of anyone else when you could be so much bigger and better. And so I think that's one thing that I've learned about myself, is to just embrace who I am. And so I try and tell young girls to figure out what's unique about them and embrace those little quirky qualities or things that you don't really like about yourself, and make it something bigger. So I love being a role model, and I truly believe it's important for me to embrace that and know that. And I know I see a lot of sometimes so-called celebrities who are like, well, I'm just on TV. That doesn't mean that I wanted to be a role model. And I think anytime you've got the platform to engage with thousands of people daily, you are automatically a role model. Whether you want it to be or not, you're a role model, and you need to accept that responsibility, because you're a big influence on especially young minds and impressionable young girls.
Now, Trey, this is time for my good to know minute, and I know you've got a great success tip.
I would say it's good to know that you dream beyond your circumstances, that you should never ever feel that you need to have every single thing in place before you can start living your dream. I say start where you are, begin it. That's the only way things can move forward, is if you dream way beyond your circumstances. Dream something bigger for yourself than others have ever thought for you.
Well, that's good to know. Thank you for that. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more with Trey Anthony. So stay where you are. Now, you have also been involved in a comedy festival, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You've done a lot. My gosh, you have your fingers in all sorts of pies.
I do it all. I really
it's interesting.
do. Yes. I love comedy. That's where I started, was stand-up. And so I produce, it's a comedy festival called That Girl Sure Is Funny, where it features all female comics of color And I did that because a lot of times when you go out to see comedy shows, there's usually just the token woman on the bill. And there's always this attitude of like, oh, she's not going to be that funny. And so they kind of just seem to tolerate her instead of giving her love and support. And so I thought I wanted to create this platform where female comics could just come on stage, take up a lot of space, own the stage, and people are actually paying money to see female comics and know that we're damn funny as well. So that's something I love doing, and I usually do that every other year.
You're now doing more motivational speaking and coaching, and I had the great benefit of hearing you speak recently, and you really lit fires under butts. Let me tell you, that audience, they were motivated.
Yeah, I don't play. Yeah, the nice Trey leaves when I'm coaching and when I'm motivating people. I'm just like, no excuses. Like, let's get this done. And so I truly believe in that I think that's one of the gifts that I've been given, is to motivate others and to help women set goals, to think outside of their box, and how to get to where they really want to dream a bigger dream for themselves. And I feel that's where I was really put on this earth to do, and say, okay, let's get it done. How can you be the best and brightest person? How can you live the life that you always imagined and dreamed in? And it's possible. And I think I'm living proof to that, because I was just like a poor little young girl who grew up in Rexdale, Toronto housing, and here I am, right? So I always say the circumstances didn't look that great for me, right? So, but here I am.
Has there been anything in you that's healed through this journey of helping others heal?
Yeah, I think for me, it's really about, I think, healing that little girl, right, who never thought she was pretty enough, never thought she was skinny enough, never thought she was good enough, right? And we still I still do that, like daily sometimes, where I hear that critical voice, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna shut you down, right? Because that's okay. But I think, you know, I was that girl. I was that awkward girl who wasn't popular in school, who, you know, wasn't the one who was always picked last for sports team, who people always, you know, weren't the kindest to. And I think that's where I relate to a lot of women and young girls, because I know that feeling of being on the outside. And so I think if there's one thing that this work has done for me, has provided that sort of healing for myself. Therefore, I'm then able to heal others with the work.
So Trey, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your inspiring story. I've really learned a lot about you and from you, so thank you so much. Now, for anyone who wants to find out more information about you, your productions, your coaching, your speaking, where do they go?
Definitely go to TreyAnthonyStudios.com, so www.TreyAnthonyStudios.com, or you can go to thekinkinmyhair.com, and that's DA, kinkinmyhair.com.
And listen, all the best in Atlanta and beyond. So I wish you the best of luck.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, for more information about my guests, including Trey Anthony, past guests, to watch past episodes, and to contact me, I'd invite you to visit my website at extraordinarywomentv.com. Well, if you are interested in transforming your life, I hope these stories have inspired you. You've been watching Extraordinary Women TV. I'm Shannon Skinner. See you soon.